Good evening. So tonight's a little unusual. Village President Charlot and Village Clerk Kat Hatch is not here this evening. So as Village Administrator and Deputy Village Clerk, I will call the April 25th, 2022 Village Board meeting to order. And I'll start off with a roll call. Trustee Ankerman.
Here.
Trustee Briand. Trustee Fisher.
Here.
Trustee Marquis.
Here.
Trustee Rappin.
Here.
And Trustee Ryder.
Here.
All right. So in the absence of President Charlot, is there a motion to nominate a President Pro Tem?
I nominate Trustee Ankerman as President Pro Tem this evening.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Floor is yours.
Well, thank you. So now that this meeting is called to order, the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business is a proclamation declaring May 2022 National Preservation Month. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation established May as Historic Preservation Month in 1973 as a way to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling national and community pride, promoting heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. And whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for all communities across nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages and walks of life. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped our village. And whereas the Lake Bluff Historic Preservation Commission and the Lake Bluff History Museum both serve our village by protecting and preserving the beauty of our landscapes and architecture, our neighborhood character, and our civic pride in past accomplishments. Now therefore, I, Regis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as National Preservation Month in the Village of Lake Bluff, and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing this special observation by visiting the Lake Bluff History Museum. Dated the 25th of April, 2022. The next order of business is a second proclamation declaring May 2022 National Bike Month as the week of May 16th through 22 of 2022 as Bike to Work Week in the Village of Lake Bluff. Whereas for more than a century, the bicycle has been a utilitarian, economical, environmentally sound, and effective means of personal transportation, recreation, and fitness. And whereas the education of bicyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas Illinois' Robert McClory Trail and the North Shore Bike Path attract thousands of bicyclists each year from around the greater Chicagoland area, providing economic, health, and scenic benefits to the citizens of Illinois and Lake Bluff. And whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, and to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois recognizes the use of bicycles as a viable mode of transportation, endeavors to promote safe and responsible biking, and is committed to incorporating the development of bicycle facilities in the vision for Lake Bluff. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists, bicycle clubs, schools, parks and recreation departments, police departments, hospitals, companies, and civic groups throughout the nation will be promoting bicycling as a leisure activity as well as an environmentally friendly alternative to the automobile during the month of May 2022. Now therefore, I, Regis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 National Bike Month and Bike Safety Month in the Village of Lake Bluff, and the week of May 16th through 22nd, 2022, as Bike to Work Week in the Village of Lake Bluff, and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to share the roads safely with bicyclists and ride their bicycles to work, to the store, to the park, around their neighborhoods, and with friends and family to promote the personal and societal benefits achieved from bicycling. Dated the 25th day of April, 2022. And our third proclamation is a proclamation declaring May 2022 Mental Health Awareness Month in Lake Bluff. Whereas the Village of Lake Bluff has recognized healthy communities as a priority, and whereas there is a proven connection between mental health and physical health, whereas Pause for Patrick organization in support of Mental Health Awareness Month will place green ribbons around trees throughout Lake Bluff, and whereas health promotion and service integration are reflected in combining mental health and substance abuse service strategies, and whereas mental health illness and substance abuse disorders affect almost every family in America, and whereas people with mental illnesses and substance abuse disorders recover if given the necessary services and supports in their communities, and whereas people with mental illnesses and substance use disorders make important contributions to our families and to our communities, and whereas only 1 out of 2 people with a serious form of mental illness or substance use disorder seeks treatment for his or her behavioral health condition, and whereas the average delay between the onset of mental health symptoms and treatment is 11 years. And whereas stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who would benefit from mental health and substance use disorder services from seeking help. And whereas research shows that the most effective way to reduce stigma is through personal contact with someone with a behavioral health condition. And whereas both mental health and physical health are critical to the well-being of our families, communities, schools, and businesses. And whereas greater public awareness about mental illnesses and substance use disorders can change negative attitudes and behaviors toward people with these conditions. Now therefore, I, Regis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, hereby proclaim May 2022 Mental Health Awareness Month in the Village of Lake Bluff, and call upon the people of Lake Bluff to wholeheartedly recognize the importance of mental health to our village and nation, dated the 25th day of April 2022. Okay, next we have the consideration of the minutes for the April 11th, 2022 Village Board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Rappin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Fisher. Are there any changes in addition to the one that I noted and has been distributed to the board members? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please? Oh, voice vote, please. All in favor, or do you do that?
You do that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Next, the village president and the board of trustees allocates 15 minutes during this time for individuals who would like the opportunity to address the village board on any matter that is not listed on this evening's agenda. And each person addressing the village board of trustees would be asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Do we have anyone in the room who would be interested in addressing the board? Seeing none, do you have any online?
No one in the virtual world either.
All right. Next, we have the village president and board of trustees will entertain any requests from anyone present on the order of business to be conducted, and may I suggest that we take out of order item number 14 and item 8B. Do we have a motion to take these items?
And I would also suggest item 15 as well.
And item 15?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you,
Second.
trustee Fisher. Second
Second.
by trustee Markey. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. So on to agenda item 14. This is a resolution honoring the service of Lake Forest, Lake Bluff Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Joanna Roleck. Joanna Roleck has served Lake Bluff and the Lake Forest communities for over 25 years as the Executive Director of the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff Chamber of Commerce. And as her service has provided substantial benefit to the village and its residents, it was recommended that Ms. Roleck's service be memorialized by resolution. So if you would like to join me over here, I will present to you our resolution. It's beautifully framed, so we can get this together.
It
Thank you.
is.
Okay, whereas Joanna Roleck, a former Lake Bluff resident and current executive director of the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Chamber of Commerce, is celebrating her 25th anniversary with the Chamber of Commerce, and whereas Joanna Roleck has steadfastly served the Lake Bluff community during her tenure as executive director, and whereas Joanna Roleck brought the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Chamber of Commerce through the birth of the internet, Google, Amazon, and has tirelessly advocated for all local businesses and small business owners on the North Shore. And whereas Joanna Roleck has devoted the past 25 years of her career to representing and serving over 500 Lake Forest and Lake Bluff Chamber of Commerce members in one of the largest chambers of commerce on the North Shore. And whereas Joanna Roleck has sought to develop and enrich the next generation of business owners and entrepreneurs through her contributions of instruction and mentorship to the students of Lake Forest High School, Lake Forest College, and other young people in our community. And whereas Joanna Roleck has fostered innovation, friendships, and a legacy of compassion and service to our community. Now therefore, be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Bluff, County of Lake, and State of Illinois, that the Village of Lake Bluff hereby recognizes Joanna Roleck for her numerous significant and outstanding contributions to Lake Bluff, and such recognition and gratitude of the Village of Lake Bluff be publicly expressed to Joanna Roleck for her service to the community, and that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this proceeding, and that an executed copy of the resolution be delivered to Joanna Roleck, dated this 25th day of April 2022 in Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois. So with that, I would like to just offer this public thank you and a round of applause for all the
This is so lovely. Thank you so much for this. And I can tell you that one of the joys, because I raised my family here and I lived in Lake Bluff for 26 years, but one of my biggest joys is 10 weeks from today, and that is the 4th of July parade coming back and being on the podium and being able to announce the parade again. I can't wait for that. So that is part of the legacy of this town. That is what we love, just one of the things, many things that we love about it. So I want to thank you so much for this acknowledgement. And I want to thank all of you and your predecessors who also have been such wonderful collaborators for us as we continue to evolve in town and have the special events that come up. All of these kinds of things, and I've thoroughly enjoyed working with it and will enjoy continuing to do so. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't have to stay.
That would be punishment.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution that we just read for Joanna Roleck?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Fisher.
Second.
Second by Trustee Ryder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have item 8B, which is a request from the Lake Bluff Garden Club to waive soliciting permit fees. Title III, Chapter 3 of the Village Code requires that persons who solicit gifts or contributions of money, clothing, or any other valuable thing for the support or benefit of any charitable or nonprofit association, organization, corporation, or project must first obtain a solicitor's permit from the village. The fee is payable The fee payable is $100 per person, and the permit is valid for 1 year. The same requirements apply to commercial solicitors. As described in the attached letter, the Lake Bluff Garden Club desires to solicit donations in exchange for native plant seedlings. Section 3-3-4 of the Village Code allows for the village board to waive the fee for a solicitor's permit in this circumstance. And this is Section B, waiver of license fee. On written request, the Board of Trustees may waive license fees for religious or charitable solicitors, but in no event shall such waiver exceed 2 days in any one calendar year. The village may impose additional restrictions and conditions on any permit for which the fee has been waived. In addition to considering the Garden Club's request, the board should consider if it wishes to explore updating how other types of license and fee waiver requests are addressed by the code. If desired, staff can present alternatives for the board's consideration at a later date. So do we have a motion to consider this request?
So moved.
Thank you for that.
Second.
Trustee Marquis, thank you for the second. Trustee Rappin, any comments or discussion regarding this request for the waiver?
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, restoring to our natural habitat is a good idea. I think we ought to support that.
I'm just curious if we should be starting that discussion of maybe asking the staff to make recommendations.
We can forward something to the Finance Committee.
Yes,
Great, thank you.
thank you for recommending that.
Yep.
Any other discussion or comments?
I was just curious, Drew, if you knew how frequently we get these kinds of requests, because it seems kind of infrequent.
It is infrequent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have some members of the Lake Bluff Garden Club. If you'd like to make comments, we would love to hear what you have to say.
Perhaps praise them for doing all the work they did this
Yes.
weekend in the downtown.
Yes, it's nice to see flowers back. Yes. Okay, so I'm Lisa Schwartz. I am the chair of the Programs and Education Committee for the Lake Bluff Garden Club. And as you said, the club has submitted an application for a solicitation permit, and we would like to do a fundraiser across the street from the farmer's market on June 3rd and June 10th. Our plan is to sell native tree saplings, specifically white oaks, as well as other native plant starts. And the money that we raise will go toward community education programs. For example, we tried this as a trial in February. We opened up a Zoom program to the community on a program topic titled Great Native Plants for Containers. We mostly spread it through word of mouth. We had 78 people sign up for the program. We had 65 attend, and there was no cost to any of the attendees. The Lake Bluff Garden Club this shows that there is a demand for this kind of program in the community. The program cost the club $400. And although this is the first time we're trying a fundraiser like this, so we don't anticipate necessarily raising that much money, but any money that we do raise will be used to offset further community education programs. So the club respectfully requests that the village waive the $100 fee, and we appreciate you considering our request.
Well, thank you very much. And we
questions?
do appreciate how you beautify the village in all the seasons, so thank you so much.
Thank
Are
you.
there
We
any other
enjoy it.
comments?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that if you all have a Zoom program or another educational program in the future, that's something we can put in the Lake Bluff letter.
We will.
And actually, we did, there was a mix-up, so we tried to do it 2 weeks before, and we didn't get it in, there was just a cross-communication.
Right.
But the few days before, we did put it in the village, and we did get a nice response from that, too. But I think there is definitely a demand. I think the pandemic has brought on a lot of more people interested in this kind of programming.
Well, thank you very much. That's a roll call vote.
Trustee Briand?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Marquis?
Aye.
Trustee Rappin?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Ankerman.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Motion passes. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have item 15. Item 15 is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Lake Bluff and the Lake County Stormwater Management Commission for stormwater management improvements to the West Scranton Avenue Viaduct and drainage system. The West Scranton Avenue Viaduct is the only permanent access road in Lake Bluff for emergency vehicles to cross the Union Pacific Railroad tracks that run parallel to Sheridan Road, and the periodic closure of this roadway due to flooding results in health, safety, and economic concerns for the village. To reduce the frequency and duration of flooding in this area, the village has identified certain improvements as part of a recently completed village-wide stormwater modeling and planning study. The village has also actively sought financial partners to fund study, design, and the construction of improvements for the past few years. Fortunately, the Lake County Stormwater Management Commission, also known as SMC, has agreed to be the lead agency and take on Phase 1 engineering for the proposed drainage improvements to the Scranton Avenue Viaduct in a manner so as to be eligible for other potential federal funding opportunities. And this is fantastic news. The attached intergovernmental agreement, which the SMC approved on April 7th, 2022, spells out the following. The full scope of work that Christopher B. Burke Engineering, Ltd., would complete, which totals an estimated $497,318, a graduated payment plan for the village's 16% cost participation to cover the SMC's administrative expenses, estimated at $80,000, and that the village will host any community engagement meetings. The village's recently approved FY23 and FY24 budget includes $60,000 in FY23 for the storm sewer trunk work. The village engineer will be virtually in attendance on Monday's meeting tonight and recommends that the village board approve the intergovernmental agreement. And so we've had a chance to review the resolution that approves the intergovernmental agreement and the intergovernmental agreement scope of work. Do I have a motion to consider this?
So moved?
Thank you from trustee Ryder. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Briand. Do we have any comments or discussion?
The only thing I would add is Scott Griffith, the engineer with Christopher Burke, is here. He's also a Lake Bluff resident and has been helpful in the village, actually coming up with that stormwater modeling that was mentioned earlier.
Thank you so much for that. Do you have any comments that you would like to share, or would you just like to respond to questions or?
I don't. I think
Okay.
this is a great opportunity, and it's going to at least get the ball moving in the right direction and seek other types of funding, which is a huge benefit.
Yes, it's a great opportunity, and it will be a good starting point for other funding opportunities. Are there any comments from any of the board members?
Having said that, how do you feel that this is going to facilitate funding from other sources, since that is the key? I'd just be interested in getting made for everybody here, but also for people that might be watching, since this is probably top of mind for most of our residents.
Sure. So while this doesn't guarantee funding from outside sources, state or federal level, what it does do is checks all the boxes that are typically required for seeking those kind of items. That's why if you look through the language included in the proposal, it kind of breaks it down. There's an environmental segment where we're looking at endangered species, wildlife, plantings throughout the project area. There's also a transportation section which looks at our vehicle counts and crashes and any sort of potential hazards moving forward. And these are just items that are typically required as part of how we phrase it, a Phase 1 type study. The added benefit of this is we are going to get a plan set and plans for the alternative of up to 30%, which is a huge benefit. Once we get to that kind of stopping point, it's really on other funding sources and the village itself on how to move forward and move that from 30% kind of across the finish line.
And to add on to that, thank you, Scott. The village has had conversations with state leadership and as well as our federal representatives, and they've all encouraged us to move, take this Phase 1, and that they'll be more inclined to go to Phase 2. And IDOT has said the same, that everybody's looking for this to keep moving. It's a very expensive project, and little bites is a better way to swallow that. And SMC's even indicated at Phase 2 that they're interested in funding that as early as next fall. Yes. So even though they can start working in tandem, so.
Yes.
No, I think it's great, and I think it's nice to see this down on paper in terms of how the stepwise fashion of taking on a project of this magnitude. because I think that we all get questions and comments from residents and that want it to happen, but the number of steps it takes to bring it to fruition includes all of this. So while I'm sympathetic to everybody, but I'm so happy that you're here to answer these questions and for us to be able to do this so people know we're moving in the right direction, which I think is just great, even though it's like you say, Drew, it's small bites. It's such a massive project. So great, thank you for this, for being here.
Thank you, Kate. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I just had a question about the graduated payment plan. So if it's estimated at 80,000 and we've budgeted 60,000, I'm assuming that at some point that would, am I reading that right? So at some point, something will come to the board saying we need to maybe adjust the budget so that we can
Yes.
cover?
Yes.
Okay. And do we have any idea where that 20,000 might materialize from?
You know, this project's going to be, 18 months in the making, so we'll have plenty of time between this fiscal plan to make those amendments.
The agreement states a end date of April 8th, 2023. However, it's unclear when the actual notice to proceed will be issued from the Stormwater Commission.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
but there'll be time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Any further comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. This is a roll call vote.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Markey?
Aye.
Trustee Rappin?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
And Trustee Briand?
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Ankerman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Okay, next, we have the warrant report. The warrant report for April 12th through April 25th. Expenditure of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount of $487,685.96 for April 12th through 25th, 2022. Again, total expenditures of $487,685.96. And the reports and documents attached were the warrant report from March 15th through March 28th, for a total of $487,685.96. The invoice register shows checks with a status of open or paid. All checks with a status of open are computer-generated for the board's final approval, and checks with a status of paid are manual checks that have been processed. So do we have any, we have Bettina here, if we have any questions regarding the warrant report. Do we have any comments or questions?
I had a question. Drew, I'm sorry I didn't see this to ask you earlier when we chatted this morning, but I noticed the City of Lake Forest, it says non-transport. It's the $141,412. Could you just shed some light on, I realize we have an intergovernmental agreement with Lake Forest for ambulance service. It says ambulance service settlement. I'm just curious.
Sure.
If it says, since it says non-transport, what is that for?
So that is, the village a few years back, we were in a dispute with the city of Lake Forest for ambulance fees over a period of time.
Okay.
And we came to a resolution, and the most recent amendment to that intergovernmental agreement, which covers the variety of services that we purchased from the city of Lake Forest, included a payout over a 3-year period. That's the final payment on that previous period of ambulance fees that we were disputing the rates.
So that's when it refers to. fiscal-
Non-transport.
Non-transport, so because it's a settlement, but also fiscal year 20 per fiscal year 21 IGA. So this is from years ago that.
Few years back, correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
You weren't the only person to ask that question. I think Trustee Ryder asked the same question.
I'm sure, I
Yeah.
apologize for asking it earlier, but it's always nice to do it too here so that
Yeah.
people know when they see a number like that, because it's such a substantial number. And there's no way in the warrant report to really detail what exactly that would be. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, it's a roll call vote.
You got a motion for this one?
I do not.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Briand. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Trustee Ryder. May we have a roll call vote, please?
You may. Trustee Markey.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Trustee Briand?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Ankman.
Aye. Next, item 7B is the consideration of the monthly financial report. And attached for your consideration is the March 2022 financial report. Noteworthy items found in this monthly report include a number of items. Bettina, do you want to present this? You're muted right now. Okay, I will.
Maybe.
You should do it on your end, maybe, on our end.
Let's try this again, Bettina.
There you go.
Turn up your volume.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes, thank you.
It's always
Sure,
red
you're
phones.
welcome. Headset didn't want to cooperate. Sorry. So noteworthy items found in the March 22 report include the monthly sales tax revenue on a cash basis for March fiscal year 22 of $353,909, which is $2,599 or 0.07% less than the fiscal 21 cash basis receipts of $356,508. The fiscal year 22 year-to-date sales tax revenue is $516,511 greater than the May through March fiscal year 21 cash receipts. Building permit revenue for fiscal year 22 to date is $351,118, $7,236 greater than the same reporting period for last fiscal year. General fund fiscal year 22 total revenues of $11,785,184 are $1,936,044 or 19.7% greater than the March fiscal year 21 year-to-date revenues. Fiscal year 22 current expenditures are consistent with or less than budgeted for the total general fund. The fiscal year-to-date expenditures of $10,296,704 are $1,905,129 greater than the expenditures for the same fiscal period in fiscal 21.
Thank you, and I don't think I have a motion yet regarding this item.
You are correct.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Markey. Okay, do we have any further questions or comments for Bettina regarding the financial report? Okay, hearing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next we have item 8A, which is a request from the Lake Bluff Library to waive permit fees. The Lake Bluff Library is requesting a fee waiver for 2 permits. One for the interior alterations to create the Stroh Reading Room, and one for the installation of raised garden beds. Without a waiver, the permit fees would be $2,550 for the reading room and $100 for the raised garden beds. Under the November 2021 Village Board approved fee waiver policy, the library is a qualifying organization because it derives the majority of its revenues from taxes levied within the village. Village Administrator Irvin has already waived the $100 fee, but requests in excess of $1,000 requires approval by the village board. So similar requests have been considered on a case-by-case basis for other nonprofit and governmental organizations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Rappin. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Trustee Ryder. Do we have any discussion regarding the request from the Lake Bluff Library? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
And Trustee Markey.
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Ankman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have the village attorney's report.
No report
I'm
tonight.
sorry. Madam
8B.
President Pro Tem.
Yes?
I do have one thing that was not on the agenda that I'd just like to bring up. It's a thank you to our State Senator Julie Morrison. I sent out a note last week. The village learned late last week that the village was the recipient of a $1.25 million appropriation to do a pedestrian bridge on our northern border along Green Bay Road. We believe that bridge will be on the west side. There is a railroad tracks that cross Green Bay Road below grade, and a few, I would say, maybe 5 months ago, 6 months ago, there was an email exchange floating around between the school district, the park district, the village, and the county about this issue, and that there was not a good place for children to cross to get to school or get to park districts, and we started to try to figure out why was this happening and why wasn't there a good pedway through there, so, which led to this. So the village will receive this award through the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. We will work with our fellow agencies, Lake County and the City of North Chicago, to get this moving. So just good news, and part of the year of the bridge for the village continues. So
Very
we'll
good
be
news.
airing Bridge over the River Kwai later this weekend,
Green Bay Quay.
whistling that song. So
Very
that's,
good
that concludes
news.
my report.
Okay.
One's a bridge too far.
All right.
Okay.
Probably right.
Bridge to nowhere.
Sorry.
Okay, the next item of business is the village president's report, and May 1st is Principals' Day, and May 2nd marks the beginning of Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week 2022 across the country. I'd like to take this opportunity to celebrate the many talented principals, teachers, and staff that we have in our Lake Bluff schools, both public and private. Our village is incredibly fortunate to have such a talented educational professional team, and our community, our children, and our families are taught and supported each and every day. The choice is important to me, and it is important to many of the schools, both public and private, that serve Lake Bluff. These dedicated professionals pour their hearts and their souls into the activities, lesson plans, and important conversations that happen each and every day in their classrooms. And I personally know of several teachers and staff that over the years that have had a tremendous impact on the lives of my children, and perhaps you and your students have stories similar to that. Next week, we honor those who serve in our schools, those who guide and shape our young people into the next generation of creators, thinkers, doers, and leaders. So let's start tonight. Please join me in a round of applause, expressing our most sincere gratitude to the teachers and the staff serving all of our Lake Bluff schools. Thank you very much. All right. Next, we have the consent agenda. First on the consent agenda is the acceptance of correspondence that was delivered to the Village Board of Trustees and informational reports on April 5th and April 15th, 2022. Next is a second reading of an ordinance amending Title I of the Municipal Code regarding the comprehensive fee schedule that is with regard to accessory dwelling unit fee reduction. And finally, on the consent agenda is the second reading of an ordinance amending the second year of the biennial budget of the Village of Lake Bluff for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2020, and ending April 30th, 2022. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
And
Second.
Thank
usually
you.
there's asked if there's anybody wants to remove anything for the consent agenda.
Oh, would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda? No controversial items this evening, so thank you for that. And we had
Okay.
a first and a second. The first again was from trustee Markey, and the second was from trustee Fisher.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So all in favor?
Roll call.
Oh,
Aye.
roll call, please.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Markey.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Ankerman.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, we're moving. Next, we have item 16, which is a resolution adopting a revised purchasing policy. The village most recently updated its purchasing policies and procedures in 2009. The current policy is dated and in need of revisions. For example, the current policy references statutory limits that do not apply to the village as a home rule jurisdiction. At the Finance Committee's September 2021 meeting, the committee reviewed the recommendation of staff, and the memo was attached, to generally update the purchasing policies and procedures in order to accomplish the following: to adopt purchasing thresholds that match state law, referencing Public Act 100-338, which became effective August of 2017, increasing the bid threshold for a municipality contracting for public works from $20,000 to $25,000. It eliminates references to outdated processes, procedures, and forms. It streamlines the village's purchase order practices and thresholds, and it establishes a village credit card to allow for online purchases. The consensus of the committee was to support this course of action, and the minutes are attached from that meeting. Consistent with the committee's discussion, staff has prepared a rewrite of the purchasing policy and recommends adoption effective May 1st, 2022, concurrent with the start of the fiscal 2023 year. As of Friday, a revised version of the adopting resolution is attached. The village board previously approved ongoing service agreements for payroll with Paylocity Corporation and internet service with AT&T, and allowed the village administrator to modify the scope of services within an annual limit of $20,000. For example, that is the administrator's purchasing authority. For consistency, the revised resolution makes these limits match the village administrator's updated purchasing authority. And reports and documents attached were excerpts from the Finance Committee meeting minutes in September of 2021, a revised draft subject resolution, and then a draft purchasing policy. So do I have a motion to consider this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Rappin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Buran. Do we have any comments or questions regarding this resolution?
I just had the question about the credit cards, how we would see that information, because now the warrant report is just basically checks that are written. So I guess I was just, and we talked about it in the Finance Committee meeting, how that information would be shared with us, having the credit card, since that's a new process for us.
Bettina, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. So that process would really work the same as the Amazon purchases that we currently make. Those are in effect an on-account purchase, and we itemize them on the warrant report and give you the GL numbers and their respective descriptions, just like the credit card bill would be presented in the warrant.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So the same level of detail would be available?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
And we don't plan on that being something that would be utilized for many items. It's just for in-house items that typically staff is needed to charge themselves just to facilitate. For example, this Zoom bill is one of the items.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, this is a roll call vote.
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Markey.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Ankerman.
Aye. Next is Agenda Item 17, a resolution approving an agreement between the Village of Lake Bluff and the National Philanthropic Trust to accept an anonymous donation for the replacement of the Glen Avenue Footbridge. An in-depth assessment of the Glen Avenue Footbridge was completed a year ago, and the recently approved 10-year capital improvement plan includes $300,000 in FY 2027 for its replacement. Recent conversations with a longtime Village of Lake Bluff resident has resulted in an anonymous donation of $400,000 to replace the bridge and improve the approaches as soon as planning and design efforts allow. In order to memorialize this generous gift, an agreement has been prepared which outlines the timing, method, and recognition for the donation. From a design perspective, the donor and the village appear to be in alignment that the replacement bridge will be in the same spirit of the existing bridge, and that the approach areas be beautified, accessible, and functional. Should the village board accept the terms of the donation and accept the agreement, then the planning for the replacement footbridge and approaches can begin in earnest. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Markey. Are there any comments or questions regarding this very generous donation?
I'm curious, I talked to Drew about this earlier, but now that I see the photograph too, I use this bridge a lot, I'm sure most of us do, and I have been for a really long time, but I'm curious about during construction, there are a lot of trees right there that are gonna be negatively impacted by soil compaction and vibration. So in that photograph, there's, a tree stump, but I'm thinking of the one right behind it, the pictures, I'm pretty sure that's a shagbark hickory, and they're pretty sensitive to that. I know that from personal experience. So the bridge is one thing, and I know there's some work going on in the ravines, with eliminating Norway maples and, junk trees, but that hickory is not junk. That's really a great tree. So what efforts are going to be made or are budgeted for in that number there to make sure that this kind of stays in the exact same footprint to reduce the amount of detrimental effect to these species we want to keep?
Sure. Let me try to tackle that, and I'll turn it over to Jeff to talk about the footings. So, of course, we want to leave the smallest trace of activity in there. That's the goal. The canopy of trees make it a beautiful space, and we don't want to change that to the extent we can, acknowledging that the method of construction will require some removal. It's just there's not a lot, right? So, but by and large, our goal is to keep that and even beautify it, and that's what we talk about. Part of that work is the next item in front of you is to start the engineering for that, to start trying to figure that out. Jeff, do you want to talk about the method of construction and some of the preliminary conversations we have had with a bridge firm?
Yeah, the bridge likely will be fabricated in a shop and then brought in on two pieces, a crane on each side. And the crane company will have to determine if trees will need to be removed for them to place it. The first step of the project is survey and soil borings so we can get some design work done. But there'll be a process where we kind of lay out where the bridge is. It won't be possible to put it exactly where the existing bridge is because of the abutments. We're trying to avoid having to completely remove the existing abutments because that will be very hard to then stabilize the slope. So at least the initial talk is we can probably cut some of the existing abutments out and maybe make the new bridge a little longer so it's not hanging right on the edge of the slopes, and then move back a little bit. But yeah, there will be some trees impacted. If there is particular trees of concern, we can obviously work around that. The new bridge will also be wider than the existing bridge, so it has to expand one way or the other, and it might be angled slightly differently to try to thread it through that area to avoid significant or important trees. So that's all kind of part of the design process, but I don't think I could tell you that we're not going to have to remove any trees, because even just taking the old bridge out, and if you had one exactly the same as that one, it would be almost impossible to do that without impacting some trees.
Right. Well, that leads me to the second question now that you said that, because what I was looking at is a photograph taken looking north. So I think beautification, maybe of that apron area as you come off the bridge, there's old asphalt and then gravel. And then it slopes down. But when you talk about a crane, I'm thinking of the approach from the north side is extremely narrow, and how on earth is that going to actually happen? That's a sidewalk, and that's it. I mean, unless we're talking about where the street dead ends.
Yes.
Yeah, and the crane will sit where the street is. And, our talk was, how big of a crane do we need? Especially talk about the south end, that crane will probably be on Sylvan and be craning it over to the ravine from there, and not trying to back up in that narrow spit of land where the asphalt and gravel is right now.
Right.
So that's part of the process, is to figure out what size crane we need, where we can park it, and what trees might have to be impacted by that process.
Got it. How long the boom is going to be to see how far
There's
it
some
can
big cranes.
reach. Yeah, I know. Okay, that's good. Because I'm just thinking, we've talked about what happened in Lily and Dell, and I think we're going to see some tree die off over the next few years just as a consequence of that. But I get what you're saying. I mean, you can't let the perfect be the enemy of good. So you have to do this. that, so will the Park District be involved in this at all, since the ravine belongs to them?
This is actually right-of-way.
Okay.
It's within the village's
But
right-of-way,
being-
and our goal is to actually make sure it lands in our footprint.
Got it. Okay, so it can only
Yeah.
go, there's some room to maneuver, but not much.
In early conversations with the Park District, they're happy to not be involved with any maintenance thereof, right? They're
Got it.
no problem with that.
Will that affect the stairs there?
We have to marry up, that's part of the consideration, right? We have to figure that out, so.
Cool.
And that's, the idea is, after, assuming that the engineering work gets endorsed after this, then the village will take that work product and hand it off to Tesca to do the landscape architecture work and figure out how to marry up some of those spaces. And in the north approach too, because the north approach is not as thoughtful as the southern approach, right? There's kind of a funneling, and it's attractive, and there's probably ways to improve that. And people, the way it functions today, people gather there already with their dogs, and they'll talk, and I've spent a lot of time observing this place, as did ABR Chair Bob Hunter, who actually did the rendering in the packet. He's the one who worked with the village and the bridge builder to come up with that image, with the donors' goals, high-level goals, and that person had a great amount of confidence in Chair Hunter, and that's how we got this far, part of it, so.
Well, since you mentioned the landscape architect, I would say that one of my things that I think is problematic in the ravines is that, and I mean, I could save us some time and money there, is the presence of a lot of people having planted non-native species there that have taken over. Things like euonymus they're super invasive and have gotten really out of control. So I think that might, I'm not sure that that's necessary, because that will kind of come back on its own. And I think you have the possibility of getting plantings that are going to be problematic for the space, because the space should be, I don't know, natives only. So that's just probably not a necessary step in my view. But I love the generosity of the people. I don't want to think this too much at this point. But I just think, over landscaping this kind of defeats the purpose of it being in a space that should be as natural and untouched by human hand as possible.
I think it's more hardscapes, right? Getting people to where they're trying to go, and thinking about
Not plant
incorporating the
material.
fencing, and, it's not looking to be a garden necessarily, but it's,
Good, yeah, because I think that gets kind of too fussy there, but I'm looking forward to this, sort of. I'm sort of attached to that bridge. I'm walking on it.
I love the
50 years.
the diversity of this board is incredible, because I think Trustee Briand sees things that I didn't even think about. I just thought about thanking the Anonymous Trust for this very generous gift, and it's very appreciated, given that this bridge was built originally in 1915. To a question that I didn't ask earlier, is this, if we had budgeted 2027 as the timing for this, is the timing being moved up?
it will be moved up slightly, but it was really a function of, we could do this work now, it's needed. It's not in jeopardy. It's not like there's not something imminently wrong with the bridge, it's not gonna fail, but the idea of, we were trying to slot it in the capital plan when it made sense with the flow of other, I guess, prioritizing based off other issues that are facing the village right now. So it was one of those that where the opportunity presented itself, and there's no reason not to start it now.
Okay. And I will end by saying I did not read the full agreement because there are 3 attorneys on this board that I assume did.
Any other comments or questions?
I just wanted to say, Kate asked all the hard questions and brought up all the difficult things, but I'm constantly impressed and amazed at the people in this community and how they step up to help their communities. So thank you to whoever donated this generous gift, and it'll be memorialized, and hopefully we'll have a beautiful bridge. So.
Thank you. All right, ready for a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Markey.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
And President Pro Tem Anchorman.
Aye. Agenda item 18 dovetails off that. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Baxter & Woodman Incorporated for for the design engineering of the Glen Avenue pedestrian bridge replacement project. In conjunction with Agenda Item 17, the village requested a proposal from Baxter and Woodman Incorporated to provide engineering services for the replacement of the Glen Avenue pedestrian bridge. The existing bridge was originally constructed around 1915 and underwent significant rehabilitation in 1980. Recent inspections have shown deterioration in some of the steel beams and recommended the village either contract for significant repairs to the bridge or replace it entirely in the coming years. It is currently envisioned that the village will purchase a bridge from a manufacturer that will build the bridge off-site and then use a crane to install the bridge in two main pieces. The proposal from Baxter and Woodman includes professional services to lay out the alignment of the new bridge and design new abutments for the bridge to sit on. A separate professional services contract with a landscape architect will be utilized to provide the design of the bridge approaches. The proposal from Baxter and Woodman is for time and expense not to exceed $29,822. The bridge costs are expected to be funded by the donor and will require an amendment to the village's FY 2023 budget. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Briand. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, trustee Fisher. Do we have any further questions or comments regarding this resolution? Okay, hearing none, this is a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Enkelman.
Aye. Agenda item 19 is the trustees' report. Do we have any trustees who would like to make a report this evening? Okay, hearing none. Item 20 is consideration of the executive session meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Marquis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Briand. Are there any corrections, updates, comments regarding the minutes? Okay, hearing none. Roll call.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Enkelman.
Aye. And now I'd like to consider a motion to enter into executive session to consider land use acquisition.
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, trustee Briand. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Marquis.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Briand.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Enkelman.
Aye. We are now drawing to a close the open portion of our meeting, and we conclude. Do I need a motion to conclude, or
Nope.
do I? Okay.
Okay, just, we thank them for being there.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for being here virtually, and we are now closed. Thank you.